This is Jasmine here from the Academy of Animated Art, giving feedback on some of our amazing students' work. So today I'm going to give feedback on Foxes by Tam Ta, and this is what I love. So Tam first submitted this in August, this past August, August 30th. As I sit here, it is now December 10th, and what is great about getting this feedback is they were able to submit in August, get feedback from Sergey, who was the feedback provider, amazing a lighting artist from Blue Sky Studios, um, for this work. And then, stuff happens. And now they are able to revisit it in December. And it's like nothing skips a beat, and they get a different perspective too from whoever is giving feedback. And lucky me, it is me. So, getting started, whenever I start feedback, I always like to look, at where it began, also feedback notes from the previous provider, and just see where they are in this journey before I go ahead and give my notes. So taking a look here, just going through this thread, I'm seeing the initial submission, which is great. I love this animation. This is an animation from our partner animation school called CG Riff, and we have a great partnership with them where their animators, their students are focused on animation. Our students here are focused on lighting, so it makes just the perfect collaboration where we then will get the animations from the CG Riff students, and then our students will then light it. So we have amazing animations to light. So looking at this, I'm loving, the warm and the cool. And let's look at the reference. Always great to put in reference. Thank you for doing that. And this is great reference. Again, you got the warm, the cool, and same here. Okay, let's take a look. So just going over Sergey's notes really quickly. He's looking at kind of balancing the two, warm and cool, a little bit more. There's an opportunity there. He mentions, some suggestions are how the color temperature of the moon correlate with one another. He's suggesting to saturate both a bit more. Perhaps the moon colors by 15% and the fire by more, by 25%. So saturation, he's actually looking to increase that. And then it'd be nice if the background foreground allowed a bit of the warmth fill from the fire on the foliage, just so it kind of ties I see what he's saying here, like tying the foreground and the background together, integrating them a bit better. And it'd be nice to tie the foreground to background some more, try more pronounced, a bit wider, stronger moon rims. Oh, interesting, I like it. On the foreground characters and elements. So I think like moon rims, he's talking about, even in your reference here, you can see that nice rim coming from the background, and I believe that is what he's suggesting here, and I think that's a great call out, especially kind of pop those characters out a bit more. Maybe reducing atmospherics in the background a bit to allow for the contrast that seems relevant to the night and the two bright light sources of the frame themselves appear reasonably exposed. Okay, awesome. Happy lighting indeed. So amazing notes. I learned things. So I'm like, oh, that it's a great call out. That's what I love about it's always continuous, and getting other people's perspectives is so great. So let's look at the latest. So here we see that you applied some of the changes, and let's look for feedback. Okay, that's what I'm here for. So a bit of distortion on the trees. Okay, and you will be fixing that. So just kind of increasing the scale so I can see it a little bit better. Actually, even better, let's go into, I pulled this shot into Photoshop where we can then go ahead and take a look, compare, and then I can draw over too, which is definitely easier. So if I'm looking at, this is where we currently are now, and these are the references, and this is where we previously are. And I actually pulled them all into this one shot here. So I love the A-B. Take a look at the difference. you made quite a difference, which I love. Almost like different time, it feels like a little bit. And then let me just pull up the references too. And I always like to have the references up when I work. So in this case, I'm actually going to do something because the references are distracting me. I want them to be in frame, but not to be over the frame so I can't see it. So I'm just gonna make my canvas a little bit bigger, and then I'm gonna pull both my references over, and I don't know, I can make them smaller too. So now I can see both the reference and the frame at the same time. And this is like a random thing, the white is distracting me, to be honest. So I am just going to put a dark color back there so it doesn't distract my eye, because funny enough, my eye is going straight to that white instead of the frame that I'm supposed to be focusing on. Okay, much better. See, like how, I gotta say, these are like the little differences when you're evaluating your own work you want to think about. Because think of like, this is, and this is just a general note to anyone, when that white is up there, I don't know about you, but my eye just goes straight to the white. It's also gonna kind of not mess up, but also it kind of like the values, it's kind of what you put it against, and it might distract me and make me like something not in the best way possible. So take a look when I put that dark gray back there. It makes such a difference. Okay, great. So now I can focus, and now if I go back to the original and to this one. Okay, so I see definitely things that are, you've worked on. Even, I see the fires change a bit too. There is better shaping all around. One thing, okay, for opportunities, I see you put the atmospheric back there, which is really nice. It does push it back. It gives it way more depth. I'm really liking that. The one note I'll say is I'm not seeing, going back to Sergey's notes, I'm not seeing the increase in saturation. It's actually like kind of gone the opposite, where there's a decrease in saturation, which I think is, fine. We don't have to go all the way to to like super saturated, but I would, especially in the, let me just pull so I can draw over, especially in for the fire, like if you're looking at this fire, right? You want it to react a little bit more dramatically to these characters. And right now, I'm not feeling, it's actually gone in a different direction. Like here in the original, I felt that. I felt the fire like on the characters. And I'm also liking the contrast levels a little bit more in the original. Because if you look at your reference, you do get quite a bit of contrast in the values here. So here, I think we have gone a little bit too far, a lot too far in these ambient, the fills. I would bring back the contrast in the dark levels here. I think you don't have to go as dark. You can bring it out a little bit, but I like the dramatic contrast here. And another opportunity is bringing back the hits on from the fire in that like warm, saturated note. And then things like having the fire hit like the foliage, kind of like what Sergey was saying. Like it would be nice to get a hint of warmth back here on the rock. And even here would be really nice, right? A little bit of warmth. So you're feeling like there's integration, as Sergey was saying, with the foreground elements, the background. I think, definitely down here should go all dark in contrast. There should be a nice like vignette going on. And if I look at your original one, it's definitely happening more here. Like you see this right here, that's really nice. So bring that back for sure. And then let me take a look now. So contrast, definitely bring back the contrast. Look at the reference. You see how it goes into dark there, how like dark it is here, and here. That is kind of the levels that we're looking for. The other things are, I'm looking at, let me take a look at, okay, you did add the moon rim. I see it very clearly right here on these characters. Great job. I think when you bring back the contrast and you bring back the dark levels all in here, that will then, this moon rim will just stand out more, similar to how we're seeing it here. So definitely bring that back. I think there is a little wiggle room. This one, I'll say, like the background, I kind of like the saturation level. It's similar to like this more moody background versus this more super saturated. I think there's room to go a little bit more saturated if you want, but I actually don't mind the saturation level on the background and the atmosphere. It's less contrasty. And again, when you're pulling the contrast, keep that background like kind as it is, because that's what kind of makes it set back with the atmosphere. So play with that. If you look at like the background here, it's quite light and not as contrasty, right? So things like that. Okay, and what else? I think that is a great starting point to get there. So I think overall, what did we say? We said let's not to distract by those lines, but the big overall call, let's get the fills down here. We've gone too far there. Let's feel the other thing that's, quite, I think will help quite a bit. Let's feel that fire on them again with increased saturation, right? And then have it like fall a little bit more off here. And when this whole area here goes to darkness, which it should fade off. It will help set that mood even more. And then you can play with hints of warmth coming like just like subtly interacting back here just to integrate it a little bit more. Little highlights on these foliage in the foreground would be really nice as well. But yeah, play with that. This also, like when I say the contrast, like this over here, you'd get that to be more dark as well. And then that will bring out this rim and everything there. So all this goes darker. So amazing. I can't wait to see these updates and I can't wait to see it animated. So let me know if you have any questions, and amazing job. I can't wait to see the updates, as I said. So with that, happy lighting.